Hi, I'm David Gravel, and you're watching Slide Job Down.
2007 was a phenomenal year for the Outlaws. For those of you who were around, you know that things were getting hectic for the sport just a year prior. With the Outlaws being ran by Paul Kruger and Boundless Motorsports ever since the series was sold in 2003, drivers had become fed up with the new management. This led to the 2006 split with the National Sprint Tour, which we saw many drivers gravitate to like Danny Lasowski and Steve Kinzer. Lasowski would go on to claim the title, but unfortunately the series was disbanded after that 2006 season. As we went over in the National Sprint Tour video, the series just wasn't the same after the passing of Fred Brownfield. I feel that many others reflect on this season for two different reasons. One, of course, being the split, and two being that it was Donny Schatz's breakout year. After 19 wins, 42 top 5s, a Knoxville Nationals, 2 track records, and 438 laps led, his first World of Outlaws title was claimed. After Paul Kruger's resignation from Dirt Motorsports, Tom Deary stepped in as the new CEO, which was a turning point for the series. With a new TV deal with ESPN2 and the Speed Channel for the 2007 season, many drivers planned on returning to the series, as one of the main reasons drivers left was because of limited exposure. Even with the return of Danny Lasowski, Steve Kinzer, and Jason Myers, Donny Schatz had a pretty much perfect season in 2007, claiming his second consecutive championship, repeating a 19-win season, 467 laps led, and becoming the first ever driver in sprint car racing history to win the Knoxville Nationals, Kings Royal, National Open, Don Martin Memorial Silver Cup, and Summer Nationals all in one season. He earned a total of $470,450 and also came in second behind Jimmy Johnson in the NSSN Power Rankings. In addition, he was nominated for the Economaki Champion of Champions Award, capping off this historic season. I could go on and on about how significant this season was, but that's not why you guys are here. You guys are here for one specific incident, an incident that many others have nicknamed the Wave. On July 28, 2007, the World of Outlaws took on KC Raceway, now named Atomic Speedway, located in Chillicothe, Ohio. Donny Schatz was favored to win since he had already found victory at the track the 2 years previous. Not to mention, he was just coming off a hot streak, claiming the Kings Royal, Silver Cup, and Summer Nationals all in a span of 1 week. Although, bad luck struck the night before at I-96, which left Donny finishing in the back of the field. This left a 3-point difference between him and Joey Saldana for the super clean Summer of Money. Unfortunately for Joey, a jump start was called in Heat 2, moving him to the second row, which resulted in a third place finish, missing the dash. This is the angriest you'll ever see Joey.
The Outlaws just make really bad calls, and I just got the bad end of a bad call. The guy on the pole was supposed to start the race. He took off, so I went too, but I guess they decided this time they put the whole row back, which they've never done that the whole year, so I don't know, you just take it and go on.
With Schatz and Campbell starting up front in the dash, Jack Haudenschild makes a move right off the bat in turn 2. Craig Delansky does the same seconds later and is able to keep that second place spot. With 3 to go, Steve Kinzer makes a move down low, snatching 4th from Schatz. Campbell would go on to win, with Delansky coming in 2nd and Haudenschild in 3rd. For the main event, it kicked off with Jeremy Campbell holding the lead until contact with Kerry Madsen and Jason Solwald drew the first caution of the feature. Within a few laps of the restart, Donny Schatz had moved up from 5th to 2nd, darting his way for the lead. A spin out on lap 8 gave Schatz the perfect opportunity to take the lead, as after the restart, he would go on to do so on turns 3 and 4. As the race progressed, Jeremy Campbell moved back in the pack, eventually moving down to 6th by lap 15. 2 cautions followed. The first one, who was in the 2nd position, Craig Delansky, suffered an oil leak, and the second one occurring shortly after the restart on lap 20, with Jason Myers stalled off of turn 2. This is where you're gonna want to keep your eyes on that big game tree stance 24. Restarting in the 4th position, Terry McCarl out of Altoona, Iowa made himself known later in the feature. After the restart, a battle for the lead ensued between Schatz and Kinzer for a few laps up until Kinzer banged the cushion a little too hard off of turn 4, throwing him off pace a bit. He was able to hold that 2nd place spot up until Terry McCarl took it on lap 27. With 9 to go, while on board with Jack Hodenshield, he also bangs the cushion, smacking the wall off of turn 4, causing a flat right front, drawing another caution. This gave T-Mac the perfect opportunity to make a move on the restart. With 7 laps to go, he makes his move on the outside, and gives us one of the most badass moments in sprint car racing history.
Feather to feather, takes a lot of discipline, he waved to him! He just waved to him! That's pretty bold, I have to tell you. That is pretty bold. Do you think that's premature?
Now, this bold move sure as hell looked premature, as yet again another caution flag came out soon after. Depending on how the race was gonna end, this wave was either gonna look badass or a stupid idea.
Oh, he's my buddy. I like to mess with him. I don't get to pass him very often. He passes me quite a bit, so we like to mix it up for the ESPN fans out there.
Donnie Schatz running second there after leading most of the race. You and Terry McCarl have a heck of a run there. What was that gesture he gave you?
Well, I guess I'm trying to drive a race car and he's trying to get on TV, so I didn't see much of it. I guess my guys told me he waved at me, but whatever, I guess that's how it works.
Luckily for Terry, he was able to keep the lead and went on to win shortly after, by a close call.
McCarl goes to protect down low, shots up high, it's gonna be TV Terry bouncing off the wall. He beats Donnie Schatz.
In his post-race interview, he made it clear that this gesture was just a joke and that him and Donnie are close friends, followed up with a celebration. Later on in Donnie's interview, he threw in a few friendly jabs at Terry until he was interrupted by Terry himself.
All right, there he is. One more thing, one last thing to say, McCarl. Look at these guys. They love each other, guys.
The wave was definitely one of the most boldest moves we've seen in the sport, especially since there was 7 laps left, leaving room for anything to happen. This race is frequently brought up in interviews with Terry. He even goes over the origins of the wave in his interview on the Drivers Project podcast. Spoiler alert, the man who first gave the wave to Terry was the king himself, Steve Kinzer. Give it a listen.
Tell us about the wave at KC. Or Atomic for younger people?
Well, the origins of it are really, in 1992, I was running the Outlaws, and I had never been on a mile track, right? And we go to Indianapolis on a mile. It was beautiful. I mean, it was it was just a beautiful racetrack. But it's a mile. You're going 170 miles an hour, right? And I ran top 10 in the Country Builders 88, and I'm never lifting, and I'm cruising around running 9th or 10th, and I hear this noise, a car, and I'm like, what the hell? Steve Kinzer passed me on the outside above the cushion, all 4 wheels above the cushion on the mile at Indianapolis, and I'm not lifting. Drives around me, comes off of turn 2. He was leading, and I about shit myself, and he come off turn 2 and waved at me. And I was like, oh my God. That I wouldn't dare take my hands off the steering wheel, you know. Usually when people block me, it really irritates me. It's just like run your own race, but Donnie Schatz, the wave with Donnie was obviously he wasn't blocking me. I was just excited, and people watched that. I did not finger him. A lot of people think I fingered him. So I didn't. I waved. He and I were pretty good friends at the time. And I was just jacking with him. I was just messing around with him, and I was excited that I passed Donnie. Like I said in the interview, you know, he passed me way more than I ever passed him. So I was just having a little fun with him, and it worked out good. I think it was one of the best TV races ever. I think.
According to The Third Turn, that 2007 season was Terry's 4th full-time season with the Outlaws, his first being all the way back in 1992, then returning over a decade later in 2005, 6, 7, and 8. His highest statistical season was in 2006, despite only making 53 out of the 67 races on the schedule. He came out with 3 wins and 20 top 5 finishes, placing 8th in points, 326 behind Chad Kemanaugh. Now, even though 2007 was his lowest statistical full-time season, points-wise, he was still able to make it a memorable year, claiming the Mediacom shootout midway through the season, his win at KC, and even a 3rd place place finish at the Knoxville Nationals, which is the closest he's ever come to winning the 410 Nationals. The reason I have to specify 410 is because he's got 5 360 Nationals under his belt. He's even currently 4th in all-time wins at Knoxville Raceway, one behind Doug Wolfgang at 60. Now a racer and promoter, T-Mac is a beloved figure in the sport, not just for his talent behind the wheel, but also his passion for the sport and his great sense of humor. That's why it really wasn't surprising that he gave the wave, because that's just how he is. Long story short, if you're out on that track and see that 24 pass you, you may be next. This is Slide Job Dom, and I'll see you guys next time.